Consider a river. It flows constantly, changing moment by moment. The water molecules present now are different from those moments ago, yet we still call it the same river. It has continuity, a pattern, a flow, even without a fixed, unchanging essence. Or think of a flame. It depends on fuel and oxygen. It flickers, changes shape, and eventually extinguishes when conditions cease. Is the flame at the beginning the exact same entity as the flame moments later? It has continuity, a process, but not a permanent, independent self. These natural processes hint at a profound way of understanding existence, as a dynamic flow of interconnected causes and conditions, rather than a collection of static, separate things. Now let's turn this lens towards ourselves, towards the ultimate transition we explored previously, death. When the physical body ceases its functions, when the biological processes described by science come to an end, what happens to the stream of experiences, thoughts, feelings, and awareness that constituted us? Does consciousness simply vanish like a snuffed-out candle flame? Or is there a continuity, a flow, like the river, that persists beyond the dissolution of the current form? This question lies at the heart of humanity's deepest inquiries about life, death, and what might lie beyond. Cultures and religions worldwide offer diverse answers, often involving concepts of souls, heavens, or underworlds. But how does Buddhism, with its unique emphasis on impermanence, anicca, and no self, anatta, approach this mystery? If there is no permanent, unchanging soul to transmigrate, what continues? How does the law of karma shape this process? And what is the ultimate goal, the state known as Nirvana? Today, we venture beyond the veil, exploring the Buddhist perspective on continuity after death. Does consciousness persist after the body dies? How do the concepts of the mind stream, siddhisthana, karma, and rebirth, distinct from reincarnation, explain what happens next, and what is the nature of the ultimate liberation, nirvana? Before diving into the Buddhist view, let's acknowledge the scientific and philosophical landscape surrounding consciousness and death. The hard problem of consciousness. Science has made strides in understanding the neural correlates of consciousness, the brain activity associated with subjective experience. However, how physical matter, the brain, gives rise to subjective awareness, qualia, the feeling of what it's like to be something, remains a profound mystery, often called the hard problem. Most mainstream scientific views assume consciousness is an emergent property of complex brain activity and ceases entirely when the brain dies. There is currently no widely accepted scientific evidence for consciousness surviving bodily death. Philosophical positions. Materialism, physicalism, the view that everything, including consciousness, is ultimately physical or reducible to physical processes. Consciousness ends with the brain. Dualism, the view that mind consciousness and matter body are fundamentally distinct substances or properties. This allows for the possibility of consciousness existing independently of the body, though it faces challenges in explaining how they interact. Panpsychism and other views. Some philosophies propose that consciousness is a fundamental property of the universe, present in some form even at basic levels, or that reality is structured in ways we don't yet grasp that could allow for continuity. Limitations of current knowledge. It's crucial to recognize the limits of our current scientific methods. Subjective experience is inherently difficult to measure objectively. While we lack proof for survival, science also cannot definitively disprove possibilities beyond its current empirical reach. The question largely remains outside the scope of direct scientific investigation at present. This scientific and philosophical uncertainty creates space for different frameworks, like the one offered by Buddhism, which approaches consciousness and continuity from a radically different starting point. One based on introspective investigation and understanding the nature of mind and reality itself. Buddhism offers a sophisticated model of continuity after death that hinges on three core concepts: the mind stream, karma, and rebirth, all understood within the framework of dependent origination, paticcasamuppada, and no-self, anatta. The mind stream, Siddha Santana, Vijnana Soda. Instead of a permanent, unchanging soul, Atman, Buddhism speaks of a mind stream, a continuous, moment-to-moment flow of consciousness. Think back to the river analogy. It's a constantly changing continuum of mental events, thoughts, feelings, perceptions, volitions, linked by cause and effect. This stream is not a thing, but a process, conditioned by past actions and shaping future moments. It carries the imprints, seeds, bija, of our experiences and intentions. Karma, the law of cause and effect. Karma literally means action. In Buddhism, it refers specifically to volitional action, actions driven by intention, satana. These actions, whether physical, verbal, or mental, create energetic imprints or seeds within the mind stream. Wholesome actions, kusala kama, driven by intentions of generosity, kindness, and wisdom, plant seeds that ripen into pleasant experiences and favorable conditions. Unwholesome actions, akusala kama, driven by greed, hatred, and delusion, plant seeds that ripen into suffering and unfavorable conditions. Karma is not external judgment or punishment, but an impersonal, natural law governing the relationship between intention, action, and result. It operates across moments and lifetimes. Rebirth, punabhava, versus reincarnation. This is a crucial distinction. Reincarnation, common in other traditions, implies the transmigration of a fixed, eternal soul into a new body. Buddhism, denying such a soul, anatta, speaks of rebirth. At the moment of death, the final moment of consciousness in one life, conditioned by the accumulated karma and the mental state at death, acts as a cause for the arising of the first moment of consciousness in a new life. It's not the same entity jumping across, but a causal link, like one candle flame lighting another. The mind stream continues, carrying the karmic potentials, which then shape the conditions of the next existence, realm of rebirth, physical and mental characteristics, initial experiences. Dependent origination, paticcasamuppada. This entire process is understood through the principle of dependent origination, the interconnectedness of all phenomena. Consciousness arises dependent on conditions. Actions create karmic potentials. These potentials condition future consciousness and rebirth. Nothing exists independently. Everything arises in dependence upon other factors. Death and rebirth are simply links in this continuous chain of cause and effect driven by ignorance and craving. Nirvana, the cessation of suffering. If samsara, the cycle of death and rebirth, is driven by ignorance, craving, and karma, then the ultimate goal is to extinguish these causes. Nirvana, literally to extinguish or to blow out, is the cessation of suffering and the cycle of rebirth. It is not annihilation in the sense of nothingness, nor is it a heavenly realm. It is the unconditioned state, beyond concepts, beyond arising and passing away. It is attained through the eradication of greed, hatred, and delusion via the Noble Eightfold Path, culminating in profound wisdom, prajna, that sees reality as it truly is, impermanent, unsatisfactory, no self. Buddhism posits a continuity not of a fixed self, but of a conditioned, ever-changing mind stream shaped by karma. Rebirth is the consequence of this causal flow. Nirvana is the ultimate liberation from this cycle through the extinguishing of its root causes. How can we begin to work with these profound concepts in our lives? Mindfulness of mind. Practice observing your thoughts, feelings, and intentions as they arise and pass away. Notice their impermanent nature. See them not as you, but as mental events flowing through awareness. This weakens identification with a fixed self and reveals the stream-like nature of consciousness. Karma reflection. Regularly reflect on your intentions. Before speaking or acting, ask, what is motivating this? Is it based on kindness, generosity, understanding, or on greed, aversion, confusion? Become aware of the link between your intentions and the quality of your experience. Practice cultivating wholesome intentions. Contemplating interconnectedness. Reflect on how everything arises dependently. Your current existence depends on countless causes and conditions: parents, food, air, past actions, societal structures. This reduces the sense of an isolated, independent self and fosters appreciation for interconnectedness, which underlies the concepts of karma and rebirth. Cultivating the path. Engage with the practices of the Noble Eightfold Path: ethical conduct, sila, mental discipline, samadhi, and wisdom, panna. These practices directly purify the mind stream, weaken unwholesome karmic seeds, and cultivate the insight needed to understand reality and move towards liberation. These practices help us experientially grasp the concepts of mind stream, karma, and no-self, moving them from intellectual ideas to lived understanding. The question of what happens after death touches our deepest hopes and fears. While science currently offers limited answers regarding consciousness survival, Buddhism provides a detailed framework centered on causality, impermanence, and the potential for liberation. The idea of a mind stream, shaped by karma and leading to rebirth without a permanent soul, challenges conventional Western notions. It suggests that our actions have consequences far beyond this single life, and that continuity exists as a process, not a static entity. Understanding this perspective doesn't necessarily eliminate the mystery, but it can shift our focus. Instead of fearing annihilation or hoping for a specific afterlife realm, the emphasis turns towards the quality of our present actions and intentions. How are we shaping our mind stream now? What does it mean to live knowing that our volitions ripple outwards, conditioning future experiences? How does the concept of rebirth, linked to karma, inform our sense of responsibility and ethical conduct? Can we find freedom not by seeking permanence, but by understanding the liberating truth of impermanence and no-self, the very factors that make change, growth, and even nirvana possible? The journey beyond the veil, in the Buddhist sense, begins with understanding the nature of the mind and reality right here, right now. How do the Buddhist concepts of mind stream, karma, and rebirth differ from other views you've encountered? What questions or reflections does this perspective raise for you about consciousness and continuity? How might understanding karma influence how you live your daily life? Share your reflections and questions in the comments below. Let's continue exploring these profound ideas together.